Have you ever stopped to wonder if the words you speak are actually casting spells, not metaphorically, but energetically shaping the architecture of your life? What if the story you've been telling out loud or in the silence of your mind is not just a reflection of your reality, but the very script that's programming it into form? There's a forgotten truth hidden in plain sight. Language is frequency, and frequency is formation. Every sentence, every self-talk, every unconscious phrase you whisper into your own nervous system is an instruction to the quantum field, a vibrational command that the universe doesn't just hear, it obeys. We've been taught that words are tools for communication, but quantum science and ancient mystics agree. Words are activators, coders, sculptors of time-space. You're not just speaking your truth, you're collapsing probabilities into timelines. And here's the mystery most people never pause to decode. If your inner dialogue is saturated with fear, doubt, or unworthiness, you're not just expressing emotion, you're vibrating into existence a version of reality that matches that signal. That's not poetry, that's mechanics. So ask yourself, what spell are you living under right now? What habitual phrases are you looping that reinforce a self you no longer want to be? I always mess up. I never have enough. I don't know what I'm doing. Each of these may seem like innocent expressions, but in the quantum lens, they're not just reflections, they're selections. The universe is not responding to what you hope for. It's responding to what you declare. And declarations are made in repetition, in tone, in frequency. This is the moment to interrupt the broadcast. Because the truth is, you are not stuck. You are just speaking from the frequency of your past. But what happens when you change the language? When your story vibrates with the version of you who already knows? That's what this video is about. Stay with me, because by the end of this, you'll understand exactly how to use the frequency of your words to shift your timeline. And once you do, you'll never speak the same way again. You've probably been told to watch your words, but no one ever told you why. Not really. Not from the perspective of the field. Not from the level where your voice becomes vibration, and your vibration becomes architecture. Let's break the illusion. This isn't about positive thinking. It's not about saying nice things to yourself and hoping your life improves. This is about understanding that your words are waveforms. They carry frequency. They carry charge. And your subconscious mind, the part of you that directs 95% of your behavior, doesn't interpret language through logic. It interprets through repetition, emotion, and vibration. That means every time you say, "I can't," "I'm not ready," or "it always goes wrong," you're not just venting. You're hardwiring that version of self into your neural circuitry and broadcasting that pattern into the quantum field. And here's what most people don't know. The field doesn't respond to what's true. It responds to what's stable, to what's coherent. So even if the words you speak are sabotaging you, if you speak them enough, if you feel them deeply, if you wrap your identity around them, the field will reflect them faithfully. Not because you're broken, but because you're consistent. That's the dangerous power of unconscious language. You may think you're describing your life, but you're actually prescribing it. Every story you tell about your past, your limitations, your identity, it's like writing code for the version of reality that gets downloaded next. Think of your words as seeds. Are you planting weeds or orchards? Because the garden doesn't care what you plant. It only knows how to grow what you feed it. And the universe, this living, breathing intelligence we call the field, is no different. It hears what you say, especially when you don't realize you're saying it. So now the question becomes, are your words aligned with the version of reality you want to live? Or are they echoing the pain you're still unconsciously rehearsing? Let's be honest. How many times have you tried to change your life, but nothing really changed? You did the affirmations, you journaled, you set intentions, you even whispered your dreams into the void, hoping the universe was listening. But inside, you still felt stuck. You still checked your bank account with anxiety. You still looked in the mirror searching for what's wrong. You still replayed old arguments in your head, expecting new love, but vibrating the frequency of betrayal. You're not lazy. You're not unworthy. You're just trapped in a story you didn't even realize you were telling. And the worst part? That story feels like you, but it's not. It's inherited code, written by trauma, repetition, culture, memory, and it's running silently in the background of your nervous system, reinforcing the same loops no matter how loudly you speak new desires. This is where most people give up. They think manifestation doesn't work, or worse, they believe something's wrong with them. But what if I told you the issue isn't your effort? It's your tone. The subconscious doesn't hear your goals, it hears your vibration, it hears the frequency behind your words. That's why you can say, "I'm abundant," and still feel lack. Because the nervous system knows the truth. You're still carrying the signature of scarcity. But this is the pivot. Because once you understand how language embeds itself into the reticular activating system, the neural gateway that filters your reality, you realize this. You're not just narrating life, you're programming your perception, and what you perceive becomes real. In the next moments, I'll show you exactly how this works. We'll decode the invisible mechanics of how your words wire your mind, shape your emotions, and instruct the quantum field. And once you see the map, you'll never speak unconsciously again. So if you've ever felt like you're doing everything right but something still keeps pulling you back, stay close. The reason is hidden in your language. And the shift begins now. Here's the truth that most personal growth teachings leave out. Your brain doesn't care what you say, it cares what you feel. And the field? It doesn't respond to language, it responds to coherence. Let me explain. Every thought you think, every word you speak, every belief you repeat, generates an electrical signal in the brain. But that signal means nothing unless it's paired with a matching emotional frequency. Without emotion, your words are just noise. But when a phrase like, "I'm not safe" or "it always goes wrong" is backed by fear, shame, or tension, it becomes a command, not just to your nervous system, but to your perception, your immune system, your choices. Because once emotion locks in, your reticular activating system, the brain's reality filter, goes to work. It scans billions of inputs and deletes anything that doesn't match the frequency of what you believe is true. Say, for example, you speak abundance, but feel scarcity. Your raspbertilities will ignore new opportunities and highlight reasons you should stay in fear. This isn't mindset, it's mechanics. And it gets deeper. When your heart and brain sync in emotional coherence, when the story you tell aligns with the frequency you feel, you emit a magnetic field so measurable it can be picked up feet away from your body. The Heart Math Institute calls this your biofield, and it holds emotional data. It speaks to the quantum. So here's the breakthrough. Every time you say something and your body tightens, you're broadcasting incoherence. You're confusing the signal. But when you speak from alignment, when your story feels like truth not because it's familiar but because it's free, your field stabilizes. And that stability, that's what the quantum listens to. So from now on, stop asking, "What should I say?" Start asking, "What frequency am I speaking from?" Because the brain doesn't hear words, it hears vibration. And your vibration is either reinforcing your past or anchoring your future. Most people speak without realizing they're casting echoes, vibrational loops that keep the past alive in the present. And if you've ever wondered why certain patterns keep showing up in your life, why even after the breakthroughs, the old energy creeps back in, here's the hard truth. You may have shifted your goals, but you haven't updated your language. And language is the code that holds your reality in place. Think about how often you say things like, "It's just how I am. I've always been like this. Nothing ever works out for me." Or even seemingly harmless phrases like, "I'm so tired. I can't afford it. I'm trying, but..." Every one of these statements is a selection in the quantum field. They are not just casual expressions. They are declarations of identity. And identity is what collapses timelines. See, in the quantum model, there is no linear time. All versions of you already exist. The one who's abundant, the one who's at peace, the one who's still stuck. The field doesn't ask, "Is this version true?" It asks, "Which version are you stabilizing with your words?" And most people, without knowing, are locking into the version they're trying to escape simply by narrating it on repeat. This is what I call linguistic looping. You speak from the same emotion, which creates the same focus, which activates the same neural patterns, which attract the same outcomes. It's not fate, it's frequency. The moment you say, "I never catch a break," your RAS deletes every micro-miracle trying to show up. When you say, "I'm not good with people," your nervous system shuts down social safety. When you say, "It's probably too late," your timeline agrees. But here's the miracle in disguise. You can rewrite the code. Right now. You don't need a breakthrough. You need a new sentence. Because when you change your words, you change your witness. And when your witness shifts, your reality has to respond. That's not a metaphor. That's quantum alignment. In the next segment, I'll show you how to identify the hidden phrases still anchoring your old self, and how to replace them with language that aligns with the future version of you already broadcasting from the field. So how do you begin to rewrite the code? How do you speak in a way that doesn't just sound positive, but actually vibrates at the frequency of your desired reality? Here's the key. It's not about affirmations. It's about alignment. It's about speaking from the identity of the version of you who's already living the life you want. Not pretending, not faking it, but tuning into their frequency and letting your language emerge from there. Because words, when spoken from coherence, are not just sounds, they are portals. They are time travelers. They collapse future timelines into now. So let's get practical. Step 1. Catch the loop. Notice the micro-statements you say on autopilot. "I'm always behind. That's just my luck. I can't trust anyone." These may seem like background noise, but they're actually foreground coders. Every time you speak them, your nervous system tightens to match. Your perception filters out any evidence of the opposite. Step 2. Interrupt the signal. When you hear yourself saying something that vibrates lack, contraction, or fear, pause. Say out loud or in your mind, "That's the old script, I choose a new line." Then step 3. Speak from the version of you who's already free. Instead of "I'm trying to heal," say "I'm remembering what wholeness feels like." Instead of "I always mess things up," say "I'm learning to trust my timing." Instead of "I'm stuck," say "I'm in a deep reorganization." These aren't just reframes, they are recodes, and when spoken consistently, with emotional clarity, they begin to shift your field. Neuroplasticity kicks in. Your reticular activating system starts tracking new data. The timeline begins to bend. Not because you forced it, but because you finally spoke from it. The quantum doesn't respond to what you wish for. It responds to what you speak as if it's already true. That's not delusion, that's precision. And in the next segment, we're going to take this deeper, because it's not just what you say, but how you say it that determines what the field mirrors back. The tone, the breath, the charge, these are the elements of quantum speech. And once you master them, you don't just shift your mindset, you shift dimensions. Words are only part of the equation. In the quantum field, how you speak matters just as much as what you say, because tone is transmission, breath is signal, and your nervous system, whether you know it or not, is constantly broadcasting the truth beneath your words. This is what I call quantum speech. It's the vibrational field that rides on top of language and tells the universe whether to trust your command or treat it like noise. Let me show you what I mean. You could say, "I am abundant" 100 times, but if your voice shakes, your breath is shallow, and your chest is tight, what the field receives is lack. The tone says, "I don't believe this." The breath says, "I'm bracing for disappointment." The body says, "This isn't safe yet." And the quantum responds, not to your mantra, but to your coherence. Now flip it. Imagine saying, "I don't chase, I attract," with slow breath, grounded tone, and a spine that's relaxed and open. Your voice hums at a different octave. Your nervous system emits trust. And suddenly your words are not just sounds, they're fields. They reach into the quantum and pull timelines toward you. Why? Because your tone and breath declared, "This is real." Here's the secret no one tells you. Your voice is an energetic instrument. It's an amplifier of intention. And when you speak with coherence, When your tone matches your truth and your breath anchors your body, you don't just sound different, you become different. You become the version of you who's no longer speaking from the wound, but from the wisdom. And that version is magnetic. That version doesn't beg reality to change, it instructs it. In the next chapter, I'll guide you through a powerful spoken practice designed not just to inspire you, but to retune your entire field. We'll use breath, tone, and language to collapse old loops and speak directly to the future version of you waiting in the quantum. Ready to speak like a creator? Stay with me. The next few minutes could shift your signal forever. Let's bring this out of theory and into embodiment. Right now, we're going to activate a practice, not to say nice things to yourself, but to recode your frequency through spoken vibration. Because when you speak with conscious breath, stable tone, and emotional integrity, your words don't float. They land. They embed into your field. They rewire your nervous system. They become instructions. This is not about faking confidence. It's about finding the tone of the version of you who doesn't have to fake it. So here's how this works. First, sit up tall. Uncross your legs. Feel your feet on the ground. Take a slow, deep breath. And exhale with sound. Ha. Feel the vibration leave your chest. Again, deep inhale through the nose. And release through the mouth with voice. That's not just air, that's signal. Now, place your hand on your chest. Close your eyes if it feels safe. And repeat after me, not just the words, but the frequency. Let your breath slow down. Let your tone drop into truth. Here we go. I release the story that never belonged to me. Pause. Feel that again. I release the story that never belonged to me. Now, I speak from the version of me who is already free. Let the words come from your center. I don't chase. I align. I don't repeat. I reprogram. I don't collapse. I choose. Feel your spine lift. Every word I speak is a declaration. Every breath I take is a broadcast. I am the programmer of my field. Stay in the tone. Slow, steady, present. I'm no longer narrating from fear. I'm speaking from frequency. And this frequency is my new timeline. Let that echo through your chest. Let it vibrate through your skin. That's not just a mantra. That's magnetic coherence. And the more you speak from this tone, not just today, but daily, the more your voice becomes a portal. And from here, your words won't just describe your world, they'll design it. In the next segment, we'll break down how to anchor this shift in your everyday life. Because a new vibration means nothing unless it becomes your new default. Now that you've felt the shift, don't let it fade. Because the real work is not just activating a new frequency, it's anchoring it, making it the language you live in. And here's the secret. Anchoring doesn't happen through repetition alone. It happens through identity. If you speak from emotion, your language changes with your mood. But if you speak from identity, from the version of you who already lives in the timeline you've chosen, then your words become consistent, coherent, magnetic. So the question is no longer, how do I stay motivated? It's, who am I speaking from right now? Because the moment you speak from the old you, the field realigns to match. And when you speak from the new you, timelines bend to accommodate. This isn't mental trickery, it's vibrational physics. Your identity is the filter through which language becomes reality. That's why affirmations fail when they don't feel true, because they're spoken from a self that still believes the opposite. But when you anchor in identity first, everything changes. Here's the formula. I don't speak to convince, I speak to confirm. I don't use words to seek, I use them to stabilize. So, every time an old emotion rises and the voice of doubt wants to narrate, pause. Ask, who's talking right now? Is this my future self or my former signal? Then shift. Speak from the one who's already living the answer. I am not confused. I am refining clarity. I am not stuck. I'm standing still to receive the next opening. These aren't phrases, they're timelines. Because the more you speak from the state you want to live in, the more your nervous system learns, this is home now. That's how frequency becomes reality. Not through force, but through familiarity. And in the final chapter, I'll show you how to seal this transformation, with a single sentence that doesn't just summarize your shift, it initiates your next timeline. This is the moment where the shift locks in. Not because you learned something new, but because you became someone new. You've seen how words shape timelines. You've felt how tone carries truth. You've spoken from breath, from coherence, from alignment. And now, there's only one thing left to do: seal the signal. Not with effort, but with identity. Because the field doesn't need your explanation. It needs your confirmation. So here's your final act, the one-sentence activation. A phrase that isn't just a statement, it's a declaration, a vibrational key, a quantum signature. And when you say it, not just with words, but with resonance, the universe doesn't delay, it adjusts. Are you ready? Say this out loud, slow, present, embodied. I no longer speak from who I was, I broadcast from who I choose to be. Let it land. Again, I no longer speak from who I was, I broadcast from who I choose to be. Feel that? That's the recalibration. That's the field reordering itself, because you just collapsed a new timeline, not by wishing, not by hoping, but by becoming. And from here forward, every word you speak is a thread in the architecture of your next reality. You're not narrating your pain anymore, you're emitting your power. You're not reacting to life, you're instructing it, with tone, with breath, with frequency. So whenever you're tempted to fall back into the loop, remember this: your voice is not just sound, it is selection. Choose consciously, speak coherently, and the field will follow. If this journey stirred something in you, if you felt the shift, leave your sentence in the comments below. Let the field hear it. Let your system own it. And if you want to keep walking this path, into coherence, into alignment, into the truth of who you've always been, subscribe. Not for the content, for the frequency. Because this channel is not just information, it's a new vibration. And now, you are part of it.